Good morning, guys, gals, MBs, YouTube catters, and now Genesys gamers. With Genesys YCS officially kicking off, none of that proto business, I thought now would be as good as time as any to get into the Genesys format, especially with Nationals coming up in July and day 0 of Nationals being Genesys. I think it's time to finally learn the format, try and figure out what's going on with this format, and more importantly, it's time to build a White Forest for this format. So today I bring you a White Forest Genesys list, and I'm going to be showing off a few matches as well and commentating on those plays. Now, if you enjoyed this video, if you found this video helpful, or if you like this video, remember to like and subscribe and comment down below, all that good YouTube stuff. And without further ado, I give you White Forest for Genesys. Here's the list, and hey, Stellar is a playable card in this format since there's no Infinite Impermanence and Ash Blossom since they're highly pointed. So we're running 2 Stellar, our best starter in this deck. Of course, we have the triple LZ, the 1 LZ as Amina at 22 points, Sylvie at 3 points apiece, 1 Rusia, and 1 Diabelle's the White Witch and a Diabelle Star Vengeance. Now, I've seen some lists run a double Diabelle's the White Witch over multiple Stellar, and that is also a possibility and might be a change for the future, since you can just go Diabelle's, send a Toy Soldier to search out your Sylvie and go into full White Forest combo from there. And you really want access to that Diabelle's package. We are on the 1 Toy Soldier, 1 Toy Tank. For our pointed non-engine, we have triple Molcharmic Fowalos at 7 points apiece, 1 DD Crow, and 1 Effect Failure since it is searchable in this deck. 2 copies of Philia Diabelle. I've seen some people cut this down to 1 for that second copy of the Diabelle's the White Witch, but I'd rather have the extra spell and trap. And sometimes opening a Diabelle's plus a Philia Diabelle meant that you had to either choose between sending a Diabelle Star Vengeance or a Cursed Diabelle and had no way to searching. So having a second copy kind of alleviates that situation. Triple Peri-Raise map. This is our starter. 2 copies of Tales of the White Forest. This is our best searcher and best extender since we can't afford the field spell in this format. I believe it's at like 33 points, something absurd like that. Double Mystical Space Typhoon. 2 copies of Book of Eclipse at 3 points apiece for a main deck board breaker. 1 copy of Scourge of the White Forest if we already have access to our Tails. This is usually going to be our second search with like a Resilia, since Woes is really bad into fusion decks. 1 Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to search with our Azza LZ. Triple Toy Box, 1 Curse of Diabelle, 1 Sinful Spoils to Slumber Morion, since it is a Book of Moon that we can get access to very easily in this deck. 1 Woes of the White Forest, Monodium Reframing, and Sinful Spoils of Sanctification. So I've actually been enjoying this card a lot. It doesn't see any advanced play. It's a little too slow for an advance, but in Genesys, it might find a perfect little home. It is a continuous trap. It is a Sinful Spoils, so you can search this with your LZ Asmina of the White Forest. And you get to choose one of these effects on activation. Either target 1 Diabelle monster in your graveyard or banishment, discard 1 card, and if you do, special summon that monster. Or target 1 phase up monster in your spell and trap card zone, special summon it. So what this allows us to do is, since board space is so limited in Genesys, since we don't have that extra monster zone, we are able to use cards like Sinful Spoils of the White Forest during our opponent's turn to either special summon our Diabelle Star Vengeance from hand, or use that Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to fuse from hand and field, fusing the Diabelle's the White Witch and Diabelle Star Vengeance into something like a Moa Regina, and then following up with Sinful Spoils of Sanctification, discarding 1 card, targeting that Vengeance, and bringing it back from either graveyard or banishment. DD Crow being a very popular hand trap in this format. A lot of people will try and DD Crow the Diabelle Star Vengeance, activating out of the graveyard, but Sinful Spoils Sanctification also gets it out of banishment, so that's not an issue as well. And because it's a Sinful Spoils activation, it also triggers our Moa Regina to pop 2 additional cards as well. Or in cases of opponents using cards like Kaijus to board break, we can even just summon back our Diabelle, and now we have access to synchro summoning during our opponent's turn once again. For our extra deck, we do have that 1 copy of Moa Regina, 1 copy of Snake Eyes Doom Dragon and Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, Despy and Lulu Walilla, a great level 12 to go into with Poplar. That is a non-targeting face-up negate, but also during the end phase that this card is sent to the graveyard, we can then special summon a light spellcaster whose attack equals its defense, and guess what? Stellar is a 0/0. Arms of Genesys return 0, and Immortal Dragon for an anti-Nibiru line. Fabled Lezibel as a great level 10 to make off a Zapper Shrimp. Satellite Warrior is also a defensive option to make off a Zapper Shrimp and Diabel. Visas on Mutara to search out that reframing. Rasilia, Sinister Soul of the White Forest. Silvera, Wolf Tamer of the White Forest. The Immortal Dragon, the Poplar, Zapper Shrimp, and an Evil Swarm Exciton Knight for going second when we have 2 level 4s on the field. We have a triple Gamma Seal on the sideboard, 2 DD Crows, triple Illusion Gate, triple Twin Twisters for back row decks, triple Gravity Collapse for going first, and finally Sinful Spoils of Subversion Snake Eye for going second, and easy removal of those pesky monsters. So with that all being said, let's hop into some matches and see how the deck runs. Our first matchup is going to be against Radiant Typhoon, a very popular deck in this format, so I'm told. And our opponent's going to kick it off by going first and in the draw phase activate Radiant Typhoon Ascendants, adding themselves a Mystical Space Typhoon. This is going to trigger their Crocea in hand, special summoning the Crocea, and Crocea adding them Eldam. We're going to go to standby phase into main phase 1. They're going to special out that Eldam effect to add themselves a Swin. Special summon out the Swin effect to add them the Radiant Typhoon Mandate, and then set 3, overlaying the 2 level 3s into a Totem Bird and passing. So quite impressive board, especially against my deck that needs to resolve all of our spells and traps. So we're gonna go to draw, and during our main phase 1, we're gonna activate our Parry Raise map. This is gonna bait out the Totem Bird effect. Then we're gonna go Toy Box to bait out that Mystical Space Typhoon. This is going to activate their Varun in hand, giving them an extra monster negate. So we're going to go Book of Eclipse, flip everything down. This is going to activate their Great Flame, special summoning itself. So we'll finally go LZ, sending the Curse of Diabel to add us our Sylvie. Curse of Diabel is going to activate in the grave, adding our Philia Diabel. And we're going to normal summon that Sylvie to add us our White Forest spell, and really to bait out that last interaction we know is the Mandate. They're going to go Phonics to shuffle back our 2 names, but we still have Philia Diabel here to add our Diabels, the White Witch. We're gonna go Diabel's White Witch effect, and the last card is Ghost Ogres. So unfortunately, there's nothing really else we could do. We can banish the spell and trap. We can special summon the Diabel Star Vengeance, and we'll go to battle. Of course, I forget which one is the Crocea and can't be destroyed by battle. And we try and walk into it, and out of shame, we just pass our turn, setting up a Woes. They draw 2 more cards, and we're just gonna scoop it up to go to the next game. Round 2, and we're going first this time, and we have an amazing hand, seeing both of our engines, seeing double Toy Box here, as well as our Sinful Spoils of Sanctification. Not too great in this matchup with MST. We're going to start things off by going to that main phase and first activation, going into Parry Raise map to add us our Stellar, paying half our life points. We're going to activate that Toy Box effect to set 2. And then we're going to normal summon the Stellar effect to send the Toy Soldier to special out the Sylvie from deck. Then we'll go Sylvie Chainlink 1, Toy Soldier Chainlink 2 to special summon and get our search with our Sylvie, adding us Tales of the White Forest. Toy Soldier effect to add us another level 4 spellcaster, so we'll get our Rusia here to extend through any kind of Nibiru plays or anything like that. And since we're afraid of Nibiru, I believe a lot of decks are pointed into Nibiru. Again, I'm a little bit unfamiliar with this format. We're just going to go with Immortal Dragon as our level 6 into immediately our 5th summon, Arms of Genesys return 0. Arms of Genesys return 0, a good Omni Negate for both light and dark, since we have the Immortal Dragon in the grave, as well as a Toy Soldier to banish. Now we'll special summon out that LZ, that gives us a White Force name to special out our Rusia. We can go Rusia effect, send that Tails to get the extra draw power, and we drew into our Gravity Collapse. So pretty good sideboarding option for White Forest. We're gonna go into our Rasilia, bring back the Stellar now. Rasilia is going to search out the Scourge, and Azamina LZ being used as single material is going to search out that Simple Spoils of the White Forest for later plays. Now we can go Tails to add us our Diabels, the White Witch, make our level 8 Diabel here. Diabel is going to add us back that Tails to use for later, for any follow-up if need be. We're going to go Diabels, send the Toy Tank to special summon itself, dump that Curse of Diabel to add us our Philia Diabel. Now we can shuffle back our Rasilia, summoning out the Rusia to go into another level 8 into our Visas Amatara to set up a Mannadium Reframing Omni Negate as well. And I do a little bit of miscounting here as I'm quickly running out of monster zones and spell and trap card zones. So we'll keep the Diabellstar Vengeance in hand, set the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest. This will allow us to special summon out that Diabellstar Vengeance if any monsters on our board get outed, or fuse off with our illusions and our fiends into like a Mora Regina. We have our Scourge as a negate, our Gravity Collapse to negate any other summons, and Sinful Spoils of Sanctification to get back our Diabell if they happen to remove any of our board pieces like so. Unfortunately ran out of board space and did not have space for the Mannadium Reframing, but they're gonna go first action Lava Golem here. I do miss the trigger on the Gravity Collapse as I am still very new to this program. And they're gonna follow it up with a Radiant Typhoon Vision to add MST to their hand. We're gonna MST the known Scourge, and we're gonna follow it up with Sinful Spoils of the White Forest to special out that Diabellstar since we do have the space now. This is gonna special summon out Crocia by effect, and then they're gonna normal summon out the Eldem, in which now we can just Gravity Collapse and basically skip their turn. We'll send off that Arms of Genex return 0. So we have space for our Poplar now to pop their only monster left on the field, Poplar effect to quick synchro in using that Lava Golem into our Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon so we don't take any burn damage. Set the 2 White Forest names in our spell and trap card zone. Remember, Simple Spoils of Sanctification can also get back a Diabell from our grave if we so need to, as well as special summoning any one of our monsters that is treated like a spell and trap in our zone, and the opponent's just going to scoop it up there. So now it is the all-important game 3, and we are on the draw this time. Our opponent going first, and we opened an Illusion Gate, so that's a pretty good board breaker, but let's see what we can do against the spell and trap negates that come off of Radiant Typhoon. They're going to go directly into the main phase, special summon out that Swen, adding themselves a chant, and then chaining Mystical Space Typhoon to add Eldem and to get a Mystical Space Typhoon in the yard. They're going to use chant to add itself back, special summoning back the Eldem to add themselves the Crocia. Now they'll use Radiant Typhoon Ascendance, add themselves another Mystical Space Typhoon. This will activate the Crocia in hand. Crocia in hand will add them the Mandate with the extra Mystical Space Typhoon. They'll overlay the 3 into a Totem Bird and 5 back row this time. Oh, this is going to be a scary one. So it's going to go past to our turn, and we draw Woes for turn. So let's see if we can bait anything out. We'll go Illusion Gate first activation to bait out the Totem Bird. Now we'll no more summon our Sylvie to hopefully bait out the Mandate. This is going to trigger the MST, and there's their Mandate to negate the Sylvie. Since we already have an extender, we don't really even need this to go off. They're also going to go Radiant Typhoon Chant here, add themselves a Radiant Typhoon monster. So they'll negate the Sylvie, Chain will resolve, Mandate to shuffle back and draw 1 card and reset that Typhoon Chant. We'll finally go Toy Box. Hopefully the shields are down, and it's final Bringer of the End Times. I guess we're all seeing our sideboard cards. Well, luckily we still have Azael Zet here to special summon out to immediately go into our 6. Hopefully they're out of gas at this point, since we kind of know everything but this last back row. Resilia is going to send that Woes, and it's another MST for their Mandate, but this time we can tag out the Resilia for the Sylvie, so we do get to dodge that negate, add our Sinful Spoils since we did fuse off the Azael Zet, and we're going to use the second effect of Sinful Spoils of the White Forest this time to special summon now. After we reset our Woes, now we officially know everything that's in their back row. So now we'll use the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, special summon out the Esteller, make the Resilia again, go Diabell's effect, sending that Woes since we don't need it anymore in this matchup. This is going to trigger the Esteller in the yard, so now we do get to make that Diabell. We'll send the Cursed Diabell, add us our Philia Diabell. We'll get to make our level 8 here into Diabell Queen of the White Forest. Add us back that Sinful Spoils of the White Forest so we have some follow-up if we need be, if we don't make it out of this round. Activate Diabellstar Vengeance effect, banishing a spell and a trap. Go Philia effect, everything up to 3k. We're gonna go Diabellstar effect, and they're just going to scoop it up. Okay, so for our next game, we are up against Runic Stun? I don't know, I'm actually curious to see what this person's list was, since you can't really play the runic extra deck monsters since you don't really have the extra monster zone. So it's really just kind of using the runic spells as a draw engine. I just couldn't find out what they were drawing into or wanted to draw into, but we are on the play nonetheless. So we're gonna start us off by activating that Piri Raise map to search out our Stellar. Then we're gonna normal summon our Stellar, send this Book of Eclipse. We won't be needing this. Special summon out that Sylvie. Sylvie is gonna add us our Tales of the White Forest. And it's smooth sailing from here as we go into our level 6, our Resilia, sending that Tales of the White Forest. This is going to trigger our Stellar in the grave, as well as reset our Tails, as well as search us out the Scourge of the White Forest for our first negate. Now I do mess up the line a little bit here. I kind of get cross-eyed and go in between two different lines that I wanted to try out and do, and by the time I realized I messed up, the only thing I could really think of making was Visas Amatara. So it's not the best inboard that we could have ended on, especially with this lineup and without any toys, but we're just going to try and get all the value we can, get us an extra draw. It was a Fuwalos. Make a Silvera here since we won't really be needing this, going second, and we can always special summon it from grave. Use the 2 to make Amatara to add us that Monodium Reframing. We'll set the last 2 back row, and we're just gonna pass on this, I guess. A little unfortunate, like I said. They're gonna go Pot of Extravagance first action, and then Time Tearing Morganite into Sandion, the Time Lord. This completely took me by surprise. I had no idea what was going on here. Luckily we take no battle damage, but at the end of the battle it is going to inflict burn damage to us, and since we're already at 4k, having our life even more is a little scary. We'll lose our Diabel, but we'll Monodium Reframing the Sandion, and it cannot be destroyed by card effects either, so a little yeesh on the Monodium Reframing as well. They're going to activate Runic Fountain here, go Runic Tip to search out Runic Flashing Fire, and good thing we set this Mystical Space Typhoon, because we're definitely going to be needing it to avoid them drawing into any more. We'll go Sylvie effect, we'll go Rusia effect since we have 2 names in the graveyard, shuffling back that Diabel and that Resilia, and we'll go in phase MST on the Runic Fountain. They're going to chain a Runic Flashing Fire, targeting our Visas Amatara. So we'll just go ahead and go Scourge, send that Amatara to negate the Flashing Fire, just so that they can't get any follow-up draws with that Runic Fountain. Now we have infinite follow-up. We're just going to normal summon our Sylvie here, Sylvie effect, to add us the second copy of Tails in our deck. We'll go Tails to add us our LZ of the White Forest here. And we'll go LZ effect in hand, sending that Sinful Spoils of Sanctification to add us our Diabel's the White Witch. That's going to trigger our Stellar in the grave as well. We'll send the 2 off into our Resilia, into immediate Diabel. Diabel's going to add us back our Spell Trap for the turn. We're just going to add us back that Scourge once more. Probably should have been the Monodium Reframing just to take care of anything that could possibly activate in the graveyard. We're going to clear up our board by overlaying into an Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, but this guy's not going to be really doing anything, just to clear out the space for our Diabel's the White Witch to come down. Diabel's the White Witch is gonna go Chainlink 1, Scourge Chainlink 2, send that Curse of Diabel. Curse of Diabel is gonna add us our Philia Diabel, and we're gonna use that Philia Diabel by banishing a spell and a trap for our Diabel Star Vengeance and boosting everything to 3k. Now, how do we get around this giant 4k monster that can't be attacked over and can't be destroyed? Well, we'll shuffle back the Resilia to summon the Sylvie, synchro into Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, and push it into that spell and trap card zone, and the opponent scoops it up. Game 2, and we're on the draw, but hey, we did open a Mystical Space Typhoon, so that's pretty good into the Runic deck that obviously wants to be ending on Fountain, and we opened into our sideboard card of Sinful Spoils of Subversion. This is searchable in the deck as well with as a LZ. So this will definitely come up if they go first with a Time Lord. They're going to go Time Tearing Morganite into Pot of Duality. Look at the top 3 cards: the Torrential, Ultimate Slayer, Flashing Fire. They're just going to go ahead and grab that Flashing Fire. All scary cards, to be honest. They're going to activate Runic Fountain, special out Raffion, the Time Lord. This one, if it inflicts damage to your opponent equal to the attack of one monster I control. But luckily that won't be coming up since it's going to be pendulumed very soon. We're gonna go into our draw phase. We're gonna draw and we're gonna Mystical Space Typhoon that Runic Fountain as soon as possible, just to shut off the runic spells in his hand. Then we're gonna activate our Philia Diabell to special summon out our Diabells before we get rid of his monster. So, since he is the only one who controls the monster at this time, Diabells is gonna send that Diabell Star Vengeance. And now that we have a White Forest name, we can special out this Rusia. Rusia send the Tails. Tails to reset itself. We draw into an LZ. And now we'll finally pendulum that Raffion. We'll go Tails to add us a Sylvie, since we have it normal summoned. Sylvie to add us our Woes, just for a spell or trap to send for the LZ. Now that we have a trap, we're going to be playing under Nibiru. So we're just going to go Diabell Star effect in the graves, sending that Philia Diabell and that Woes, pumping everything to 3k. We'll attack for 3, we'll attack for 3 to make 6, 15 as well for 75. And then we'll use Diabell Star Vengeance effect to special summon out their Resilia. Resilia send the Tails to activate its effect and just get over for lethal. So I really enjoyed this list. Getting to play with the Toy Box engine has been a lot of fun, especially in this kind of lower power level format. And White Forest is a very strong part of it as well, since we do get to make near impossible unbreakable inboards. I mean, your opponent kind of has to draw the nuts if we do get to go full combo uninterrupted. And with powerful follow-up plays like Sinful Spoils of Sanctification, if they do happen to kaiju over like our Diabell or Diabell Star Vengeance before we can activate their effects, powerful quick synchro cards like Poplar and Zapper Shrimp during our opponent's turn to go into our level 10s and our level 12s. This deck is very scary in both onboard and off. Now, I don't think this is going to be the final version of this deck. I'm still going to be tinkering around with point value, still going to be trying out a different non-engine, see what is working in this format as the format develops even more and we get closer and closer to nationals. But if you did like this video, if you did enjoy this video, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts for non-engine and what we can fit into this deck, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, while you're there, like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. So that being said, Catters, I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, good night.